everyone, good afternoon. Welcome to another one of our lives here from Edinburgh Zoo. This week's theme is all about reptiles and amphibians. So very soon we're going to be meeting one of our keepers who will be able to tell us all about them. Well, not everything, but we'll be able to answer some questions as well. So if anyone has any questions, then you can send them in to just type them onto the Facebook Live. And just to explain, we are inside for this session, but we do have all of the doors open so that we can speak to our keeper and I can speak to you and you can actually understand what we're saying rather than being muffled by a mask. So please, no complaints coming in about our COVID safety. We are very far away, as you can see. There we go. And yeah, we're going to get started. So we have been joined by one of our keepers today. So I'm going to say, so if you can just introduce yourself to the Facebook folks.
Hi everyone, my name's Craig. I've been one of the keepers here for just over 5 years at the zoo. And the animals that I mainly love working with are reptiles, amphibians and invertebrates that we have here.
Okay, so a question that a few people might wonder is, why on earth reptiles?
Why not? To me, reptiles are the best animals in the zoo. They're so interesting. They're very different from a lot of other animals that we know about. We're still learning so much about reptiles, and they're just amazing to get to know. They're definitely animals. The more you work with them, the more you appreciate them and become in love with them, really.
Well, I know that you've brought a couple over to see us today, so we're going to get a bit more close up and personal with some of our reptiles. We're going to start with one of the snakes that we have here at the zoo. So this is a snake that is used to being handled. So if you do see a snake, please don't just go and try and pick it up. But so can you tell us a little bit about this snake?
Yeah, this is one of our royal pythons. This guy is fairly young. This is one of our males. So his name is Monty, and he's been with us for a few years now, but he is actually a rescued snake. He came from the SSPCA. So royal pythons or ball pythons are very popular as pets, but in the wild you would find them out in Africa. That's where they would be found, and they spend a lot of time on the ground. They're not very arboreal. They don't like to climb up trees, but they are actually the second smallest species of python in the world. There's one that's smaller. It's an anthill python that's found in Australia, but other than that it is these little guys.
Well, we're getting lots and lots of love hearts for Monty, which, or maybe it's for you, Craig. Well, maybe it's for both of you.
He's coming to see everyone.
But we can see from on the camera there, he's sticking his tongue out a lot. So can you explain why snakes do that?
Sure, yeah. So when he does stick his tongue out, you can see he has a nice forked tongue. We all get taught that snakes have forked tongues. We don't really get taught why. But what he's doing is he's picking up all the scent molecules, basically tasting the air, and that lets him know his surroundings a bit better. In the wild he would be using that, one, to avoid predators, but mostly to catch his prey. He'd flick out that tongue, and then he has an organ in the roof of his mouth. It's called the Jacobson's organ. He rubs the tongue in that bit, and that lets him detect basically sense of smell with his tongue. He knows that if he picks up more scent particles with his right side, whatever he is smelling or tasting is to his right, and vice versa to the left. So it really helps him sense his environment.
That's brilliant. And also, like, looking at him, he has that amazing pattern on his back. Can you explain why they have that?
Yeah, so for these guys, like I was mentioning earlier, they spend a lot of time on the ground, so that really helps them blend in with the forest floor where they live. The males will sometimes climb trees as well, so again it helps them blend in and avoid being eaten by anything pretty much. Larger snakes will try and eat these guys, or any wild birds, or a lot of mammals. They get eaten by a fair few things, so that camouflage really helps them blend in and hide. But this is what they look like in the wild, but you may see royal pythons look very different as pets, because what humans have done, we've bred a thing called morphs into them that completely change the look, the colour, the pattern, things like that of the snake, But this is what they would look like if you found one out in the wild.
Wow, we've got a few people saying that it's beautiful, and a few people with the sort of, ooh, no, not sure about that. But I know that obviously you brought Monty over in his little travel box there, but that's not where he spends most of his time.
No.
So can you explain what we have in the tank that he lives in?
Yeah, so for Monty, he has a nice bark flooring. It's not this kind of bare floor. He's got a nice bark bit. He has plenty of climbing opportunities. Like I say, these guys will climb quite a bit in the wild, so there's a lot of branching in there, and he has a lot of hides that he can go into, so that if he does feel stressed, if he wants to hide away, he can do that, he can get away, and he doesn't need to always be on show. He also needs it quite humid, and we do give him a good spray every now and then, and he's always got water available if he wants to go and sit and soak, which they sometimes do. So this all keeps it a bit more interesting for him. So it's not just a boring box that he lives in. He's got plenty in there to keep him stimulated with.
Excellent. Well, we've got someone from Williamsburg, Virginia watching,
wow.
So we're across the pond.
Yeah.
And Kay says, no thanks, I'll stick to my dog. Well, each to their own, Kay. We've got a lot of different animals here in the zoo. Well, that's Monty. We'll let Monty go back into his carry case. He'll be heading over home soon. But, of course, this week is also about amphibians. So just to warn you folks, we do have an amphibian coming. I know some people are a bit squeamish about them. Yes, Kay, the pythons do eat mice. Here at the zoo.
Yeah, so Monty's actually going to get fed later today. He eats one medium-sized rat. We never feed our snakes anything live. That's not something that we would do here, but they do need to eat whole animals. So just now all our snakes are getting fed on a Monday, so today is snake feed day.
Well, there we go. How heavy is Monty, just while we head over to see one of our...
Monty just now weighs between 1.5 kilos and 2 kilos. He will get a bit heavier, he is still quite young. Royal pythons in captivity generally live up to about 30, sometimes even longer. And we have two girls where Monty came from that are a bit older. One of them's about 28 years old, so they are getting on a bit. So he will get chunkier, he won't get much longer, but he'll get a nice big chunky head.
And how old is Monty? We've had someone ask.
Monty's only, it's hard to say because he's a rescue.
Yeah.
So we were never actually told his age when he came. We still think he's fairly young, maybe about between 5 and 10 years old.
Okay.
I would guess. Yeah.
Cool. Well, this next animal is one of my favourites just because of how unusual it is, I would say. So this is one of the amphibians that we've got at the zoo, and it's called an axolotl. So can you tell us a little bit about axolotls, like where you can find them in the wild?
Oh, of course, yeah, axolotls are amazing little amphibians. In the wild they are found in Mexico, actually only in one lake in Mexico that's near Mexico City, so they are actually critically endangered. Things like urbanization and introduction of other species have kind of decimated the numbers of wild axolotls, so although you do see them quite often as pets, they're really common we're getting more common as pets now. Out in the wild they are really struggling because they are, like I say, only found in that one lake.
And a lot of people, they sort of, when you say amphibian, they always think frog or toad or something like that. So what is it that would link an axolotl to like a frog? What makes it an amphibian?
Well, there's a few features of amphibians. One of the main features is their permeable skin. So they have very delicate skin that they can actually absorb a lot of nutrients and water through. And that's one of the main things that would make something an amphibian. So they are always, or generally, found near sources of water, and they can lose water very quickly. These guys are completely aquatic, they never come out of the water. But generally amphibians would need to be found near that because of the way their skin is.
Okay, and just looking at his head, he has some strange things that...
Yes, axolotls lets him live completely in the water. He'll use them and fan them. He can move them slightly, and that lets him take up oxygen from the water. But they are very delicate, so we do need to watch that we don't damage them, and everything in there is safe for him to be in without damaging those nice gills.
I'll just show you the lovely tank that he's got there. So yeah, someone's asking if the axolotl did come out of water, would it turn into like an adult?
They can do, yeah. They can metamorphosize into a salamander, a species of salamander. But some people have tried to do this with their pet axolotls. I wouldn't recommend it at all. They should just stay in the water. Even though they can do that, it's more of an emergency case.
Okay.
It's not something that we would ever want them to actually do.
Yeah, so well done, Ziggy, there for mentioning salamanders.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's one of our more unusual amphibians, but of course we do have some of the more typical amphibians here at the zoo.
Yeah, indeed.
Which, as you can see, we've got staff access only. We're going behind the scenes a little bit to get a good picture of these guys. So here in this tank, as you can see from the picture, this is some of our tree frogs. Oh, right at the front here. I'll just try and get a nice close picture of him. Oh, I say him, but is it a male?
They are all boys in here. We have 3 males that live in here, yeah. So these are white tree frogs, which would be found in Australia in the wild. But again, these guys have become fairly common pets. Our boys are getting on a wee bit. They are a bit older. They're about 10 now, which for these guys is fairly old. They've got a bit left in them though. But what they like to do is squish in amongst these plants. You'll find another one just over here.
Oh.
If you can see in there.
Oh, that's brilliantly hidden.
And then we've got another one just under this basking spot here. So yeah, they like to squish in those plants because that's where a lot of water gathers, and like we were saying, they need to keep moist, they need it nice and humid in there, so they can go in there and gather up or be with all the water that gathers in amongst the leaves there.
Okay, we have had a question through from Anya, I think is how you pronounce it, sorry if I'm wrong. Why are they all males?
That's just the group that we had. It's not a specific reason. We did used to have a female in there, but she unfortunately got too old and is no longer here, so that's just the group that we're left with. Because these guys are quite common pets, we're not keen to breed them. They're not in need of a breeding program. They're least concern in the wild. So with that, we're happy just having our group of boys that we can use to teach people about amphibians rather than actually breeding them ourselves.
That's amazing. So how many other types of frog do we actually have here in the zoo? Because I know that the white tree frogs aren't the only ones that we have.
They're not. We also have blue poison dart frogs, and we have green mantella frogs and phantasmal dart frogs. So they are species from all over the world really. Our blue dart frogs and our phantasmals would be found in South America. The green mantellas are actually Madagascan. So they're all our frogs that we have here at the zoo.
Excellent. Now we've been saving my favourite till last. It's another going back to reptiles now, folks. And this little one is just adorable. We've definitely got some frog fans online at the moment. There's a lot of hearts coming out, but this one is mine. And just look at that face. There we go. So who is this? So
this is Pamba, and Pamba is a pancake tortoise. So you can see where he gets the name from. He's got his nice flat shell there. So Pamba was actually hatched here at the zoo. He hatched in 2018. And yeah, he's done well ever since. And the wild pancake tortoises are found in Africa, in Tanzania and Kenya. And that nice flat shell, which makes them quite unique, actually allows them to squish into rock crevices and avoid being eaten, really. It's a predator defence. So because of that, the nice flat shell, pancake tortoises are a little bit different. If you give them a fright, they don't just suck into the shell like most tortoises do and hide. These guys will actually run. They're one of the fastest tortoises in the world. and that's because their nice flat shell allows them to be nice and light. So it means that they'll run to a rock crevice, squish in, and then the bottom of his shell here is actually a bit squidgy, so he will inflate. So that way when he gets in there, he's stuck, and a predator that might want to eat him can't then pull him out.
Oh wow, amazing. So what would the diet of a pancake tortoise be?
So in the wild, they basically eat dead grasses and weeds, and they have a pretty poor nutritional diet. So that's one of the issues here at the zoo, is a lot of our food that we have is very high in nutrition, it's good quality for all our other animals, but for tortoises that can actually be an issue because we don't want them to grow too quickly. So here at the zoo he gets various greens. When we can, we actually forage greens from round about the zoo. There's all different parts of the zoo that have tortoise safe plants that we can then get for them. So you'll find us out in the mornings just picking up all the weeds because our tortoises love to eat them. So that's what he consists on mainly here at the zoo.
Someone was wondering if you know exactly how fast they are.
No. I'll maybe do a test one day and see how fast they can go. I'm not sure what the actual speed they can run at is.
And how much bigger will Pamba get now?
He'll get a bit bigger. We have another male, his dad, and he's, maybe I would say he's going to add about that one to his length.
Oh wow.
So he's quite a bit bigger. Pamba's still pretty small. But he will live for a good bit longer. Like I say, he hatched in 2018, but these guys can live up till they're about 25. So yeah, he'll be with us for a good long while.
Excellent. You can see that he doesn't look that happy. He's just trying to find his feet, I think, is what's going on. So we've hello, Jessica from Gala. Hi.
Hello.
Someone's got a 10-year-old.
Okay.
So that's nice. We've got someone from Fort Worth in Texas watching.
Oh, wow.
So hello in Texas.
Straight with them.
And a few people that are definitely loving the little tortoise here. Now, just want to show you, he's not being very nice to Craig's hand there. You can see there that he's not exactly got loads of teeth. So
yeah.
What do they have instead?
Well, he actually has this nice strong beak that he can use to tear into my thumb there. It's what they use for ripping up the food that they would eat in the wild. What he'll do, if he finds a big leaf that's too big for him to swallow, he'll stand on it and then use that nice strong jaw and strong beak to rip that off. So what we do is we have lots of cuttle bone and other rough surfaces in there for them to wear down that beak because it can get overgrown, so they need to be able to wear it down, hopefully not in my thumb, but yeah, we have lots of stuff in there so that it doesn't get overgrown. Pamba basically grew up without any fear of people because he hatched here, so instead of running away, he likes to think he's the boss.
So yeah, Kieran was wondering if they bite.
Yeah. And when he was a little baby, that was fine. It didn't hurt at all. It's starting to get to the stage where, it can give you a good nip.
Oh, good morning from 3-year-old Alice in the US.
Oh, morning, Alice.
So hopefully she's enjoying seeing some of our reptiles and amphibians. I can see as well that somebody's donated, which is super kind of you. Thank you so much. That'll help us to look after our little Pancake tortoise and, of course, a few of the other animals that we have here at the zoo and at the Highland Wildlife Park as well, of course. Now, we are almost coming to the end of our live, so if anyone has any questions, you might want to get them in. Oh, thank you, Anya. I'm really sorry if I can't pronounce that name right. Yes, Nicola, it is a Pancake tortoise. His name is Pamba. Beaks. Oh, we've got Kirsten. So their horse-filled tortoise draws blood if he catches your finger, which...
Yep. Yeah, I know the feeling.
Dear. Yeah. Amelia, age 10, would like to ask if they can be kept as pets.
They can, although Pancake tortoises are critically endangered. So you can keep these animals as pets, although you need proper paperwork. You'd need to go to a reputable source to get them. Generally, most of the places that could keep them will give you the paperwork that you need, but one of the issues that we have with these animals is they've been taken from the wild, which was the case with Pamba's mum and dad actually. So one of the things we always warn people is always know where your pets are coming from, especially your exotic pets. Just because someone is saying that this animal is okay to be kept, it doesn't necessarily mean it's true. The illegal wildlife trade is such an issue for our exotic species. So if you are thinking of getting any exotic pet, I would always say do your research and always make sure that someone can tell you where it's come from and that can provide evidence and proof that it's been a captive environment and that it's not been taken from the wild.
Yeah. Oh, hello, Olivia, who's 10,
Hello.
who loves turtles and tortoises. Brilliant.
Brilliant.
Oh, thank you so much. We've got some more donations. Kieran can't wait to get back here in the summer. Fingers crossed you'll be able to get back in. You might see Craig out and about around the zoo.
Yeah.
A few people I think might have missed it earlier. How old is Pamba?
Pamba hatched in 2018. So yeah, he's just 3 years old just now. He's
Just
young.
3. Do we have corn snakes at the zoo from Ziggy?
We do actually, right behind us. So yeah, we have 2 corn snakes that live in there, called Squash and Niblet, and we have a few that live behind the scenes as well. They're more animals that we do use that people can get a bit closer to if they want to learn about snakes and other reptiles.
Brilliant. And what have we got? Oh, Lily, who's aged 8, would like to know what their predators are.
In the wild, there's a few things that will eat pancake tortoises. Again, birds can be an issue for these guys. If they get flipped over, they're pretty defenceless most of the time. And other large reptiles or even some mammals will eat them, but a lot of birds will prey on these guys, so they do watch above themselves so that they can scarper away if they need to.
Brilliant. Well, thank you so much for your time today, Craig, and thank you, Pamba, for being super patient with us there. And thank you to so many of you for tuning in today, and thank you for donating and supporting all of the work of RZSS. It is really, really appreciated. If you want to find out more about some of the amphibians and the reptiles that we have here at the zoo, then you can go online to learning.rzss.org.uk, and on there you can find out loads of different activities. There are fact files, there's loads of different things to do on there. So please head along, find out a bit more, and fingers crossed we'll be able to see you guys really soon back here in the zoo when we can be fully open to you all and you'll be able to see them all. So thank you. And yeah, hopefully we'll see you all soon. Bye everyone.